So Loom is product-led company, right? Like you can just sign up and start using Loom. And I imagine there's a lot of like bottoms up adoption that kind of gets worked through in the sales process. But I'm curious from like your point of view, are there any unique challenges for onboarding or just customer success in general at a product-led company?
Yes, yes. I would say definitely there are. Something that's unique about Loom to other places that I've worked before is in other softwares I've worked at, there's a heavy technical implementation and there's a heavy learning curve to the tool. So in CS, we're spending most of our time on just training how to use the tool. At Loom, on the flip side, it's so easy to use, it's so intuitive, it's so flexible. You can use it for so many things. And even the admin setup is very easy to do. You would think in CS that would make our job easier, but it actually means we need to conduct a lot more change management because we're not, you don't just see the aha moment from learning how to use it. It's when you learn how to use it for your particular role. With this kind of bottoms up approach and this product led growth, what we typically see, kind of the typical path for a Loom customer, is somebody at an organization, well, usually a lot of people, hundreds of people, thousands of people at an organization hear about Loom and they go to loom.com, they click get started for free, they create their own workspace. And now all of a sudden we've got 500 workspaces that exist at an organization because multiple people with that email domain created their own workspace. Now, IT hears about this and they're like, hey, we'd like to turn on SSO. We want to be able to control provisioning and deprovisioning, access to the tool, privacy settings, security settings, and things of that nature. So they end up purchasing a Loom Enterprise agreement. This is kind of the most typical path we see for our customers. And that is why the very first part of our onboarding that we do with our customers, working with our admins, is working with them to consolidate workspaces. So we're often focusing on very technical pieces in the beginning, back end things, before we are able to launch into success planning and use cases.
Yeah, it's so interesting to hear you think about this. Or hear you talk about this because, yeah, I mean, Loom is so integral into my day to day life in terms of working with my product team, working with customers. But yeah, it's just such a new way of working, and I imagine that, yeah, it definitely is it's a really interesting behavior change that you have to like adopt, like instill across a company. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I could see the challenges there, and it's cool. Like the admin is kind of like your partner in crime to help push that change management across the company.
It's funny, I use my husband here as kind of the guinea pig for Loom change management because we are very different personality types. I'm more extroverted, really comfortable facilitating and hosting, and he is much more introverted and would much rather send an email. He recently started his own law firm and he gets a lot of inbound lead calls. And I, of course, I'll run in the room and I'll be like, follow up with the Loom, send them a Loom. And I got him to do it once, but he'll always say to me after, like, I don't want to put on the camera right now and record a Loom. I'd rather send an email. And this is where we talk about that aha moment because, yes, it's easy to say, that's not my personality. I'd rather just send an email instead. But if you record a Loom after you get a prospect to call you, you show your face, you smile and wave, and you send that as your follow up, it's going to stand out amongst competitors. And when your prospect watches that video for the first time, that's what we call the aha moment, bringing
Yeah.
it full circle.
And I think I don't know how much time Loom has saved me, but so much because I like respond to customer support with it. And yeah, oftentimes I don't turn on the camera because, I'm, still in my pajamas or whatever, responding to
Yeah.
support. But it's still so useful just to be able to show something instead of just having to like type out a really long email around something. Um,
We're using Loom right now in a re-onboarding experiment, which you might find interesting. So I, of course, know like if my customers go through our doc onboarding and through all the steps, like they're going to get on that utilization and adoption curve and have no problem renewing a year from now. But since we just started this new process about 4 or 5 months ago. Now we're going through and we're saying, okay, well, how can we get all of our existing customers who didn't go through this onboarding flow to go through it now? And we're going through this re-onboarding experiment. This has definitely been a fail fast and learn. I first just reached out to all the admins being like, we want to re-onboard you. Crickets, no responses. Everyone's like, no, we don't want to do that. So what I've started doing is recording a Loom over a doc that has their name in it and kind of linking the doc in the call to action button in the Loom and showing them this is the value of this re-onboarding and here's why we want to do this with you, and getting some replies to that. So still an experiment, but powering the two together has been the most effective way to do that so far.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's like we're in this new world of like asynchronous working, and there's so many new tools at our disposal, and Doc and Loom are two of those.